Cool.
I can do an evil
That's
witch.
my open.
What you having?
Beer.
Whiskey.
What am I, 12?
How about you, hot stuff?
Water.
That's a good idea, honey.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
And we're gonna spoiler talk Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Now, Rapthorn was gonna be joining me today, but he did fall under the weather at the last moment, so get well, Rapthorn. But I do have his points that he wanted to talk about with the Joker, so we will discuss that and things like that. So, Laura, so kindly, my wife, jumping in.
Happy to help out.
Yeah! Well, we all saw the movie together, so, you know.
Makes it easy.
Yes. All right. So let's just jump right into this because this movie has a lot of stuff that we need to talk about and go over. So let's just hit the overall plot.
So the plot, basically, they're putting the Suicide Squad together so that this way they have somebody who can combat if another superpower like Zod comes into play. Because Superman at this point is dead, and yeah, we'll see what happens in Justice League. But basically, so Amanda Waller wants to create this team that can take care of any supernatural threats that could happen. They know of the existence of metahumans. They have a metahuman with them on staff, the Enchantress. And so basically, what the plot is the Enchantress becomes evil and brings back her dead brother. And well, her brother's spirit was encapsulated in a jar and she released it in some other dude and he became her brother, and so basically they need to destroy them, and there we go.
That's the plot. Now, what was weak to me...
Not a lot to the plot.
What was weak to me about the plot is, so in the beginning, we get about 3 completely different montages
of
trying
the
to get to know the Suicide Squad, because this movie's job is to bring us up to speed on this. This is one of the weaknesses of the movie for me.
Yes.
Is they just shoved too much into this and tried so hard to bring us all up to speed, and there's better ways to do it, but, you know, they decided to go 3 totally different montages, and it just kept happening.
Yeah, and there's how many people in the Suicide Squad?
Yeah. I don't know,
I can tell you there's a whole bunch, but we really only got to know a couple of them.
Yeah, and before there was any threat, this is where she's putting it together, and I guess that's kind of smart, so before there's a threat, have the plan in place, but I don't know, it just felt kind of weak. It's like she's just showing these files to these soldiers, and so this is where we're getting this brief history. This is where we learn Enchantress was this girl that was an archaeologist.
Yes.
She discovered this temple.
The temple, and she took the Enchantress's spirit.
Yeah, she cracked open a statue. Enchantress's spirit took her over. Whenever she says Enchantress, she becomes Enchantress.
Which was a really cool scene in the movie. The first time she becomes Enchantress in front of us.
Oh yeah, she says Enchantress.
Yeah. And she got the human hand, and then like underneath comes the Enchantress hand, and then it flips over.
It's really cool.
It's like, it was just...
So
that's a good part to see.
There's a lot of things in this movie that are visually very cool. But really, for me, the plot is just kind of weak, because even when the Enchantress betrays everybody in the beginning by capturing this guy
gonna happen.
and basically turning him into her brother and all that fun stuff, and they just take this whole city hostage with this magical spell to build this magical machine to try to destroy the world and have
just to say one thing, it looked very much like in Superman when the World Engine had the halo thing around it of rocks. It was basically a lightning bolt instead of a World Engine with a rock thing around it.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. And then the other plot that just got me, she wanted to destroy the world so that the metahumans were the ones that were left.
Only the metahumans.
X-Men Apocalypse, anybody? But anyway, then they send the Suicide Squad into the city, not to defeat the supernatural threat for which they were formed.
Just to rescue Amanda Waller.
But they don't know they're rescuing Amanda Waller, but we'll get into that in a second. Yes. But that's kind of the overall plot, and honestly, it sounds like it should be at least semi-interesting, but it's not. Like, when the Enchantress captures this random guy and puts the spirit of her brother in them, it is so rushed. And then they make a big point of establishing that Amanda Waller has the heart of the Enchantress. You stab the heart, Enchantress dies.
Well, if you destroy the heart, but she stabbed the heart to get the Enchantress to listen to her and do what she wanted her to do.
But then the brother does this weird thing and shoots power into her chest, and she's fine.
Yeah.
But then they still make a big deal that they need to get her heart back.
Yeah, because she can't finish building whatever engine she is going to Bill to destroy all the humans.
I don't know.
Without it.
See, that to me was just kind of weak.
Yeah, it was weak.
To me, it didn't feel like it was executed in an interesting way.
Too much stuff in too small of a time.
They rushed on the Enchantress, and then she was gone for like the entire middle of the movie. And whenever she was back, she reminded me of Rita from the Power Rangers, and she was like belly dancing in this weird cloud of ooze.
And she taught like this.
It was weird.
It was weird.
It was really weird. And it was just one of those things that was just so weird. It was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I get it. You're just trying to be lighter and more comic booky, but this is...
Yeah, and
is
the military man that was leading the Suicide Squad was in love with her human side.
Flag, I think that was his name.
Yeah, if it wasn't Flag,
I
it
love
sure
DC
sounded
Comics,
like it.
but I've not been familiarized with these characters in the comics. But what was interesting was I felt like Flag... I just did not like him. I did not like his character.
He just didn't hit the lines right.
I don't know.
He might be better in a different kind of movie, but this didn't fit him.
And
right.
he was in love with the girl who was possessed by Enchantress, which was supposed to add this layer of complication.
Yeah.
But
Which is why he was determined.
But when they did that origin story to show us falling in love, there was nothing that tugged the
Nothing.
heartstrings. It was just, well, we have to hit this super fast. Like,
it was a montage.
yes.
To show us that we love each other. So yeah.
That, I mean, that's how we are supposed to get to know everybody. Yeah. But I don't know. So that's the plot, and that's also the character Enchantress. And that's where I felt like that stuff was kind of weak. Some of the strengths of this movie, though, Deadshot.
Will Smith, I've always liked the majority of his movies because he brings a certain charisma to it, which is the word that everybody seems to be using. But
yeah, it is. It's kind of funny.
If you liked Independence Day,
yep.
If you liked Men in Black,
yep.
If you liked those Will Smith from the 90s,
yes,
you will like Will Smith as Deadshot.
Yeah. And, you know, honestly, because of Will Smith's natural charisma, the kind of lightness and levity that they wanted to bring into this movie that they ended up shoehorning in, Will Smith kind of just does naturally.
Yes.
And so whenever his character was on screen, whenever Harley was on screen, it just felt like that was more natural, adding in the lightness and the comedy. And
those two seem to get along well, and they not chemistry like, ooh, I love you, but chemistry like their characters just... They could speak each other's language.
Yeah, and they were kind of friends.
Yeah.
And the other thing I really liked about Deadshot, he was the only one on this team smart enough to start asking questions. I mean, they get taken out of the prison. One of the montages is all of them getting a shot in their necks, which is a tracker and a little explosive that can blow up their heads. Yeah. And so that way...
you see it blow up one person's head, which you see... You've only seen that character for 30 seconds, but they just had to prove to us that it could work.
Yeah. Anyway, So that was just kind of, what was interesting about him is he was the only guy who asked questions. So, like, they go save Amanda Waller, and then, of course, she gets kidnapped again. And so the bad guy downs her helicopter, and when the Suicide Squad gets to her helicopter, Will Smith is the only guy that goes in there, rummages through the bags, finds the top secret thing, and finds out, really, this is just a get Amanda Waller out, and you all go back to jail, and so this is all for nothing.
Yeah, and he also learns about how the captain that's leading them is in love with the Enchantress.
Oh, yeah, because none of them knew that. So.
No, and they're like, oh, so this is why you're so determined.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then in the trailer, that bar scene, that's supposed to be a bonding moment for the whole team. But they did no build-up of chemistry between these characters to have that scene have any kind of purpose like that.
And guess what? What you saw in the trailer isn't in the movie.
Yes, the whole, what will you have to drink? And those funny lines? Not
good call, honey. On the water.
Yeah. None of that was in there. It was... Which also tells you that places where we could have gotten to know these characters better are probably on the cutting room floor.
So please come out with an Ultimate Edition like you did with Batman v Superman so it just makes more sense to us.
Yes. And so Harley Quinn was interesting. I liked Margot Robbie. She did a fantastic job.
You know what? I like just about everything she's been in that I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen everything she's done, but most of it is really good.
To me, she was a strong positive. Yeah. I do feel like the movie didn't use Harley Quinn to Harley Quinn's potential, but if we're looking at just Margot Robbie and her performance as Harley Quinn, she nailed it.
Yes.
And I felt like she shined when she was on screen, and that character just, it took me back to Batman, the animated series.
And she acted how I expected her to act. Really.
Yes. And then we have the Joker.
Yes, which the Joker is not front and center in this movie.
I thought he was going to be the villain.
Yeah, that's I mean, with all the press that they've been doing and all the work that Jared Leto.
Leto?
All the work that
Jared Leto? Okay. All right, we got
all
it.
the work that Jared's been doing to help promote this movie. Basically, you only see that he is love struck with Harley Quinn. And so really, you only really learn about Harley Quinn and that her love for the Joker. And you see the king and queen of Gotham. And it's, so you see him in flashbacks. And the only time you see him in the present is when he's trying to get Harley back.
Yeah.
What he's doing to get his queen back to him.
Yeah.
And so I would have liked more, but with what they were already doing, there's no way they could have added more. So I'm really hoping that he will be the main villain in the first Batman movie with Ben Affleck, just because that would be awesome to see more of him and see what he's really made of.
I mean, he was a cool character, but honestly, in the trailers, you see almost all of his role.
Just about.
You get more in the movie, obviously, because it's the movie. So,
Yeah.
It's hard for me to really judge Jared Leto's performance. I mean, I liked it. I thought he was a good Joker.
I enjoyed it while it happened.
Than Heath Ledger. It was
had
different.
to try to make it different, which is probably why some people thought it fell flat.
And it was different than Mark Hamill. It was different than Jack Nicholson. And I don't think... I'm not sure if he fell flat or if the movie, again, didn't use this character to its full potential.
Mm-hmm.
The notes that Rapthorne had on the Joker were that he felt like Jared Leto was forcing that performance, that it was just kind of forced and that he was trying too hard. And
you can see moments of that, but there's times where there was these like crazy eyes and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Joker.
Yeah, there were some really good crazy eye moments. There was this one scene where they tried to do some fake tension and you just know it's fake because Joker does succeed in taking one of Amanda Waller's helicopters. Yeah. The rescue chopper that's supposed to come and get Amanda Waller after they saved her off the roof of this building
is the Joker.
It's the Joker. And so he just saves Harley. And then Amanda sends another helicopter in, which takes out that helicopter. And of course, Harley falls out of the helicopter, rolls across the roof, and is okay. So the helicopter crashes. He's on it. We're supposed to think he's dead. And she's supposed to be all forlorn. But the problem with that is we know he's not dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we going through this when we know he's not dead? And then in the trailer, there's this other clip where you see like half of his face is kind of ashy covered and he's throwing smoke grenades at people.
So you know he's not dead.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, come on.
But they don't show that in the movie!
We all knew he was not dead to begin with, so why did you cut that scene?
Yeah.
It could have been another get to know the Joker awesome
See
moment.
how crazy he really is.
But when it gets to the other characters in this movie...
they just shoehorned him in there mostly.
Yeah. I mean, you
see the montages.
They were just there to fill out the Suicide Squad, and you're just supposed to get it from the montages earlier, and
you don't really see much about them. You see that Killer Croc. You see that Killer Croc likes to swim. Ooh.
But the other strong character they had, and you know what? I feel like I've been very negative on this movie, so I'm glad to be hitting some positives.
Yes.
And one of the positives was the character Amanda Waller.
She was exactly
goodness.
what I thought Amanda Waller would be.
They did that well.
Yes.
She was scary. There was a scene where they save Amanda Waller because apparently she's in a building in the city under attack by the witch, and the Suicide Squad doesn't know it's her they're in there to save, which I still think it's weird. They're not there to neutralize the supernatural villain. They're there just to get Amanda Waller out, so whatever. But when they're getting her out, what does she do? She shoots the other agents that are there so that no secrets of what really happened will ever leak.
And in case one of the Enchantress's putty people capture... Putty is, Power Rangers, for those of you who don't know. But
there's a whole nother thing we didn't get into here that really the Enchantress reminded me a lot of Rita from the Power Rangers, and then she would kiss the soldiers that were left behind.
And they turned into these monsters.
And she would do this. She would dance. Then she would kiss them, and then they would turn into these weird things. And
she'd say, now you serve me.
The weird things were these little ponds. And so she just reminded me of Rita from Power Rangers, and they reminded me of the putties from Power Rangers. Anyway, go on with what you were saying.
Sorry. So basically, I think it's because she didn't want them to get captured by the putty so that they wouldn't be able to tell Enchantress any of the national secrets and the things. But guess what? Amanda Waller gets caught by the putties.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so after the Joker's helicopter crashes, another one comes from Amanda Waller, where, of course, they leave the Suicide Squad on the roof, even though there's plenty of room in the helicopter. Amanda Waller gets taken down by the brother and gets recaptured again so they can plug her into this ooze so that Enchantress can know where all secret bases and locations are so she can use her magic machine.
So she can destroy the human race.
Yes, and leave just the metahumans.
Yeah. But all that to say, Amanda Waller... her character, that woman played her character perfect.
Batman. So, one of the main cameos they had, and it's a main cameo because he pops up like 3 or 4 times, they have Batman. It's mostly in flashbacks. Like, we find out they couldn't catch Deadshot. So they tipped off Batman that he was in Gotham, and Batman took down Deadshot. and did it in front of Deadshot's daughter, and then Deadshot was gonna kick Batman's butt, but the daughter stood between Batman and Deadshot's like, Daddy, don't
kill
Daddy,
him anymore.
Don't. It was kind of a touching moment, but
kinda.
Only kinda. But anyway,
because he didn't have enough of the characters yet.
Yeah, so that was a really cool. But the other cameo that I really liked is you see it in the trailer when Batman jumps on the roof of the car of Joker and Harley,
and that was just a great Harley moment too, because she's like, Batman's ruining date night, you know?
Great.
And so they're like swerving around with him on the car, and then Joker decides, let's crash into the river.
Yeah,
Batman can't go there. And as they're doing it, Harley yells, I can't swim!
So what was great about that is Batman swims down there. He's got his bat breather, wherever that came from, in his utility belt. He swims down there, and Joker's gone. Harley's left alone. She's unconscious. Batman is going to go check her pulse. She looks up like that and just like screams, and then Batman just like pops her on the nose as she's unconscious. Like, it was just such a... So that's ended up how she ended up getting captured.
Yeah, and that's when you see Batman carrying Harley in the trailer. It's because he breathes her out of that.
The other cameo, that was so awesome! Captain Boomerang robbed every bank in Australia twice, so he decided to go back to America.
Now he's doing a diamond exchange.
Yeah, so he goes to America, and as he's robbing the bank, who shows up? The Flash! And the effects when he showed up, I mean, granted, it was 5 seconds, but I was more excited about this 5 seconds of the Flash than I was about the main characters throughout this entire movie, man.
It was really exciting.
When the Flash showed up, oh, that was awesome!
We just weren't expecting it, which was nice, because that's probably the only thing in the movie that wasn't predictable.
Yeah, that was the only thing we did not think was going to happen was the Flash. And, I mean, full costume and everything! Wow! I'm a fan of the Flash because of the show, and I think the Justice League trailer made him look awesome. Yeah, so I just thought that was so cool.
The other cameo that you didn't say was at the very post-credit scene. Bruce Wayne and Amanda Waller are at dinner, and, Bruce Wayne says, I'll take you under my wing if you give me the information I need. And so she hands him a top secret file, which has, you see Aquaman, you see the Flash, you see Enchantress in there, and then you could tell it's a file full of metahumans and people to help join his team. And then I can't quote it as well as he can. So when he walks out.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne gets up to walk away after he gets, this is my favorite part, and Amanda Waller's like, you look tired, Mr. Wayne. Maybe you should quit your night job. And she says it like a threat. And Bruce, it's like he didn't even care that she said it. He just turned around and he said, your team's not needed anymore. Shut it down, or me and my team will shut it down for you. And just walks away.
Yeah. Because no one can threaten Bruce Wayne.
I'm sorry. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. This has been awesome.
We're still surprised about that. But
can you just tell our energy level went up talking about these cameos?
So. Unfortunately, we were more excited about the cameos. I mean, to me, the Joker was cameos. I liked the Joker. I liked all the cameos. I really did.
Honestly, for me, I was middle of the road the whole way through this movie, including the end, because of course they defeat the Enchantress, and you're supposed to have this tension of, oh no, if we kill the Enchantress, we kill the girl that Flag loved. But then what do? They kill the Enchantress.
Because the girl told him, if it ever comes to that point, kill the Enchantress.
And they kill the Enchantress, and what happens? The girl's okay.
She comes out of the ash of the Enchantress's body.
So all of that tension undercutted. Yeah. And, I guess we're supposed to be happy about that. I was happy we were getting to the end.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
the movie was only 2 hours long. It wasn't like it was that long anyways.
And then, of course, Joker breaks Harley out of wherever they're at, Bell Reef.
Oh, yeah, at the very end, he comes in, and they kind of...
And we're supposed to be like, oh, the Joker's alive! I never saw that coming!
We knew that was how it was. And then they had, their love reunion real quick, and then they disappeared.
So that's the end of the movie. You know what? The reason I'm so negative on this movie is because, to me, overall, it was so middle of the road. It was not hot. It was not cold. It was definitely lukewarm. It had enjoyable moments. It had fun moments. But most of those enjoyable, fun moments really felt like they were shoehorned in. They were forced. The movie was so bloated because they just were trying to get us all up to speed.
They had a lot of people that they had to do in a short period of time, and really, if they would have just extended the movie out, it would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, it had some fun moments, but it doesn't add anything to this DC cinematic universe. It doesn't really help build it at all. The most exciting things in it to me were the things pointing to the next movies. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's why I gave it 2.7 out of 5 stars. Because
I gave it 3 stars.
All right, why'd you give it 3?
Well, because I enjoyed it. I had a good time the entire time I was there. It was a fun movie, and if you go in there expecting just a movie, if you're looking for just, don't have to think fun, you're going to get it. Yeah. It's a good time.
So that's our take on Suicide Squad. If you saw it, how many stars would you give it? Be sure to let us know in the comments. While you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button because there's all kinds of great movies still coming out and we're going to review those. And you never know when one of those awesome trailers is going to drop and I'm going to do a reaction or theory or talk or something like that. So be on top of all of that by hitting that subscribe button. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
Thank you so much for checking out Durbania.